What's up, Getcotians? My name's Getcoda, and welcome to my very first tutorial. Today, I'm going to be teaching you how to use Merge Glitch, so you can build like a gecko. But first, I notice about 80% of the viewers are not subscribed to my channel. Let me just take this moment to say, if you found any value in this video at all, feel free to smash those buttons down below. They really help out the channel, and it'll help me to get more content out to you guys. Now, without further ado, let's jump right into it. All right, here we are in the Zen Plaza. First thing that I'm going to be teaching you guys today is how to set up your merge glitch. Now, what you're going to want to do, go into editor mode, go to options, and then check to see if collision is on or off. What you want it off, because if you have it on, it's not going to work. Now, what you're going to want to do is press the center button and head on over to System Settings. You're going to want to exit your system, or exit your session. Head on down to Storage. Head to whatever device it is that you're wanting to do this to. Usually it's your hard drive. And you're not going to want to press A, you're going to want to press Y for device options. Head on down to Clear System Cache, and then press Yes. Now what this is doing is it's going to get rid of the updates for your game. And it just clears it out and head back into the game. Now, if you try to build with Merge on the Zen Plaza, it is not going to work. It just won't. If you don't have the update, it freezes and crashes the game, and you just can't do anything with it. So, word to the wise. So yeah, we're just going to head on over to the, let's see, we'll do the downtown. Daytime downtown. All right, now that you have Merge Glitch set up, you'll notice that you're able to put multiple items phased into each other altogether. Now without Merge Glitch and just having collision off, you can only put 3 items together at one time. But as you can see, I can put many items together at one time. In fact, if I wanted to, I could put all the items together at one time. You can make all sorts of really interesting shapes with Merge Glitch that you just can't do otherwise. And one of those shapes I'm about to teach you. We're going to start off with a custom quarter pipe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab, let's see, yeah, we're going to grab one of the quarter pipes right here, grab the middle one. Now say you wanted this width of a back, you know, the deck, but you didn't want it that high. And so you kind of just like bring it down a little bit. And now what we're going to do is we're going to grab, no, not that one, we'll do the street terrain pad. Make sure you line it up with your quarter pipe. And we're just going to start creating planes. And from here, you're going to be shaping your curve. The great thing about doing this with Merge Glitch is you can make any shape, slope, whatever you want. There's so much creative control once you have Merge. Now, how I kind of go about making my quarter pipes, for each plane, I try to find the difference between each slope, each plane, each angle. And the more that you do this, the smoother it will be. And depending on how much terrain that you want to use will decide how smooth of a slope that you make. Obviously, the smoother it is, the more terrain consuming it will be. And there you have it. Our own custom quarter pipe. Let's give her a test run. All right, works pretty good. Oh, okay. All right, so we're having a little bit of a registering issue. Well, at least the air tricks work. Sometimes you're going to need to fine-tune and adjust to make sure that everything works the way it's supposed to. When you get corners that close together, it can cause the game to become confused as to what it's deciding it wants to do. It's always playtest. Playtesting is muy importante. There we go. So that looks good. That looks like it works. Excellent. All right, let's try a different method. I'm just going to show you the differences between these. Now, if you use a quarter pipe lip, it functions a little differently than if you just use a pad for the lip. And especially if you're doing like smaller QPs, sometimes whenever you pop up, it can kind of like push you backwards a little bit. And so you don't exactly land right on the slope. You sort of land like at the beginning of the slope, and then you lose all your speed. A lot of this can be remedied by just using QP lips. But if you're in a tight pinch, you can totally use a pad. And it does work. All right, we're going to speed this along. All right, and there we go. Let's give her a test run. All right, that works pretty good. Hand plants. Excellent. Yeah, and sometimes, you know, when you're trying to pop off of that vertical pad, sometimes it will sort of like, I know I said kick you backward, but sometimes it'll just kick you straight down. And so you'll kind of like try to do a flip trick, and then it'll just kind of like send you back into the curve. All right, now let me show you how to make your own custom rails with Merge. Now this here is a custom rail I used in one of my older builds, the Gecko Plaza. And you can do all kinds of things with rails. Anything that your mind can conceive, anything that you can think up, you can build. Well, there's all different kinds of things that you can do. So you can do like these double rails like I got going on right here. You can choose different kinds of rails to stick together. Have rails kind of sticking out from the side. You know, get creative with it. Try out different combinations. Try out different angles. Make it look like something cool. Something different. All right, that worked pretty well. All right, now we're gonna try, you've probably seen this before. We're gonna use the bent pole jam, and we're gonna make our own custom sized rails. And typically, you got the other rails, which are all one size, but these short rails will help you to make smaller ones or specific length ones. Now what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna turn it on its side, duplicate it, and then flip it around 180 degrees. Grab both of them. Turn on snapping, and duplicate them, and just attach them. There we got 3 together. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to grab one of these, turn it up like this. Try to stick them right in these gaps right here. Make sure to line it up so it looks nice and neat. I kind of like making the posts symmetrical. You don't have to do that. Most of it's going to be underground. You're not going to notice. Make sure that the bar is above where the ends of those rails are. If you don't, you're going to catch on the rail and it's going to make you bail. And nobody likes that. It just makes it unskateable. No one's going to want to hit it. And that's what we're here for, right? We want to make things that people want to hit, want to shred. All right, let's give this a test run. Excellent. Now that rail is not necessarily the most skatable. It has its weirdness with the physics, so use sparingly. All right, we're gonna try out something. We're gonna work on something that I've been developing for a little bit. I haven't seen too much of, but I just want to show you guys how this is done. We're gonna be making custom hips. So let's grab the big pad, sink it in, countersink it in. Let's grab the street terrain pad. I'm gonna grab the double wide, or the double thick. You got that thickness. And we're just gonna make ourselves some custom QPs. Let's speed up the process for you. Okay, it looks good. All right, now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to grab anything that we can make a 90-degree angle with. So you're going to want to grab the large, steep slope. It's the only slope that has a 45-degree angle on it, except for, other slopes. But for this purpose right here. Now, that can be a little difficult to work with, and sometimes the small isn't what you want. You want maybe something a little bit bigger in dimension, so you can grab two of them and stick them together like this. And it's pretty easy to control. However, if you can only use one, if it's just the only thing that you're able to do for a 90-degree angle is just the one, then here's a little trick that I can teach you on making ease of control. You're going to want to grab a rail, angle it at 45-degree angle, and then try to put it dead center of your piece. Right on the corner. And what this is going to do is it's going to make it easier to place while you're trying to sink it into your terrain. You're going to want to grab the rail first, because whatever piece that you grab first is what's going to be the controller. It's the engine. It guides the rest of the ensemble that you multi-select. Now, once you have all that selected, flip it around, and then try to sink it in to your kitty corner QPs. Now watch as I do this. As you can see, it's a very delicate thing to try to keep right. It will take most of you a lot of tweaking, a lot of messing around and finding out. You want to make sure that you're not leaving any edges open. So if you catch that, you're going to bail. So you're going to want to make sure that all the polygons are basically hiding each other's edges. Make another. Angle it a little further. Just try to cover that edge. There it is. You can see we're starting to bridge this gap a little bit. Now, as you move further on down the slope, you're going to want wider and wider angles. So we're moving away from the right angle. We're going to grab, let's grab the double-sized steep slopes, and then we're going to stick two of them together. Now we don't need to use the rail anymore because the angle at which we control is straightforward. Again, make sure that you're hiding those edges. You don't want to catch those edges and bail. I'm just going to speed this along for time's sake. Okay. Now we're going to go even more shallow. Once you start getting down towards the bottom of the slope, it gets a lot more delicate in terms of getting it to sit right. It's a really delicate balance, making sure that nothing is poking up, nothing's going to catch. If you can get it to be a perfect 90-degree angle on that slope and make it work, kudos. kudos to you, because this is a very difficult, this is the most difficult part of making the custom hips. I'm just going to speed this along. As you can see, sometimes you have to extend your slopes in order to make it work. You can see it kind of juts out a little bit. You know what? That's fine. That's cool. All right, that seems to work pretty well. And there's our custom slope. Only possible with merge. All right, next I'm going to show you about foliage detail and how merge can help with that. When you're building parks, making your parks basic without decoration, without detail, they kind of look dull. They don't really pop out, and it's really hard to immerse yourself into this world that you've created unless you give it sort of a sense of realism. And with merge, it's so much easier to do this now. Let's take a fall tree and let's stick a couple of them together. All right, so let's place this real quick. We're going to make another copy. Spin it around some. Try to match these branches up so they sort of smoosh together. Now you can do this without merge. You can do up to, like I said, you can do up to 3 different parts in one area. But say you wanted a tree that has more than 3 parts to it. Now you can do that. You can raise parts up, different heights, different angles. And what's more, now you can put foliage down below. You can really just keep adding pieces to make it look so realistic, so well put together. Just kind of give it that extra detail that really makes your park stand out from the crowd. So I'm going to take some shrubs here, not shrubs, the bushes. Grab 2 different bushes. Let's grab a small downtown tree to just kind of add a little extra weediness. Is that a word? I think it's a word. I'm going to say it's a word. Weediness. There, see? We wouldn't have been able to do this without merge. Look at all those trunks. It looks like, you know, a whole ass thing. Look at that tree. It's massive. It's got beautiful foliage underneath. Now you can apply this to your parks and make them look beautiful. All right, now we're going to work on creating coping for your custom quarter pipes. Let's grab the flat piece here. We're just going to place this deck. Try to see how I'm giving a little bit of a gap between these corners here. And that's because you want to leave space for your rail. Now we're going to go over to the rails. Going to grab the round rail. It's nice and small. It's easy to work with. Looks nice. I'm going to take this and I'm going to angle it a little bit so that grinding texture on the top is poking out right at the corner. I'm going to sink this in here, fine tune its placement. As you can see right here, got a little bit of a lip poking up there. But if I was to try to raise these or lower it by the normal means, yeah, it just does not want to sit in the right spot. So, whenever you have this issue, I have a little trick for you. What you're going to want to do is copy the piece, or use any piece, and just angle it slightly. Grab the angled part first. Then grab your other part that you want to move. Now take it, select them all, and then just slightly adjust until you get the elevation that you want. Maybe you got to move the part up a little bit so you have a little more control. So you can see a little bit better. That looks like the right height. And that will give you a much better control of the height of it. You can also turn things on their side if you're, say, trying to make stairs or something. We'll work on that later. All right, that looks good. See, look at that. Look at that edge right there. And it's poking out of the front just a little bit, but I think that's doable. Let's give her a test run. All right, I wanted it to automatically hit the rail, and sometimes that'll happen. Whenever you're trying to create custom coping, you're gonna come across a lot of weird physics, complications. It's extremely difficult to get this perfect. Don't feel bad if the first few times you do this, it just doesn't want to work right. All right, that air trick looked good. Now this is you can do this without merge, but I just wanted to show you this little thing that I figured out a ways back. I implemented it in my Jack's Boneyard Halloween themed park. You take these QPs here, you stick them together, make sure you get the tall ones because otherwise it doesn't quite work quite right. You're going to want to grab the small sloped QPs. Just try to sink it in at a 90-degree angle. Try to have the coping poking up in this direction. Now, yes, you can do this without merge, but merge just makes it easier to get away with this, especially if you're trying to countersink these parts into some other parts. All right, and then you grab the other side and you stick it right on there. All right, and now you've got yourself a little slope in the middle of your QP. Let's give this a test run. All right, that worked out pretty well. You start getting creative with your pieces. You start flipping them around, using different parts of the pieces in ways that you wouldn't have thought of before, or maybe that you haven't seen before. Experiment with these parts. Look at them in a geometric point of view instead of an aesthetic point of view. Look at things abstractly. Sink them into different parts. Expose just small parts of the piece to see what you can get away with, to see what you can create. For instance, let's make a custom staircase. Now, or just like I was explaining with the custom coping, you can adjust the height of each step by turning it at a 90-degree angle. Grabbing a second piece, and then it's much more easy to control the depth of each piece, of each step, by moving it horizontally this way. Let's grab both of these. All right, that looks pretty even. And you can do this as much as you want with merge. And you can use any piece that you want as long as it's flat in order to create custom stairs. I just liked this pad right here because of the texture on it. It looks very realistic. It's great for a realistic build. It's very rustic looking. It's very warehouse. The bricks are a nice touch, a nice texture. You'll notice if you're grabbing multiple pieces and you try to sink into the ground too much, the red line will come on, meaning you can't place that there. All right, now let's try to cover up these edges real quick with some ledges. Hey, that rhymed. All right, I gotta grab the steep ledge, and we're gonna change the style. We're gonna change the style to factory. I feel like it looks pretty good with this particular terrain piece. We're gonna give it some walls. All right, let's grab that and just move it over to the other side. And this does a nice job of hiding that edge, that the sides of the pads. Because they look ugly while they're sitting there and flickering and glitching out and showing off the rails on the sides. And we're just going to extend this a little bit and give ourselves a little bit of a runway. All right, let's test this out. Woof. The laptop is running like a potato. All right. That worked out pretty good. Always play test your builds. It's just so important because there's always going to be things that you don't notice while building. And then once you play test it and you notice where, oh man, that's messing up, there's an opportunity to fix it. Now, as you can see on this wall here, there's a little bit of a gap underneath. Let's try to cover that up. And again, this is probably something that could have been done without merge. However, no, actually, because of the pads there, this would not have been possible without merge. All right, so we'll grab that slope. We'll grab the straight QP. And we're just covering up that bottom area. It's these little details, you know, that really make the difference. And the more parts that you can add to any given area that you can skate on, the more flow that you can give to a park. The more pieces that you can have in an area and keep the flow going, the better. You can really add that density of terrain parts, these skatable terrain parts, and then trying to keep that balance between detail and flow and terrain use. All right. Speaking of terrain use, if you're going to be using merge glitch, you're going to want to do this little trick. Before you even start building, grab yourself a prop. I'm going to grab the traffic pylon, and I'm just going to spam the crap out of them. You want to max out your prop meter before you start doing merge. The reason for this is, for some reason, it prevents the game from crashing. When you're using merge, crashes will happen. They will. They just will. When I was creating the Tropic Snake Run, it happened every 5 minutes, basically. I wasn't using this little trick beforehand. But if you do this, if you max out your prop terrain, it prevents the crashes from happening, and you can build for much longer. Now, crashes can still happen. They're rarer if you've maxed out your prop meter. So make sure that you save often. But don't save too often, because apparently that can create what's called earthquaking, where if you leave and come back and you've noticed parts are a little shifted by their angle, by their position, etc. And come down time to it, you know, make sure the props that you spam are all in one area. That way, if you need to place a prop somewhere in your park, you can just go straight to that spot, that pile of props. Delete a few, and then go to the other spot where you're going to put your new prop, select it, and then place it into your park. Nice and easy. And that about does it for me. If you guys learned anything today, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know in the comments if you want to learn anything specific. This video is going to be a fundamental video for many of my new tutorials that I will be making later. It'll be necessary to know these particular fundamentals before we start getting into the real technical stuff. Anyway, that's going to be it for me. Hope you guys learned something today. My name is GetCoda, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.